Hey, what's up, guys? We are live on a Monday night here on Keystroke Medium. I am Josh Hayes here with Chuck Manley, Kayleen Williams, and Steve Bollier. Scott Moon is on a family vacation in Colorado because who knows why. I think Lauren will be jumping on later, maybe. And we are considering changing the name to Keystone Medium. because Steve can't type apparently on his fingers.
It was on purpose.
So, and I'm fighting a cold again for the second time in 2 weeks.
Everyone should have kids. You get sick every time. It's awesome.
Yeah, it gets better as they get older.
No, but then they become like, hey, can we have $20? And can I borrow the car? And hey, I'm pregnant. And just a whole lot of like stuff.
It escalated quick.
I've been through all of those, man.
This is why we like having Papa Chuck on the show. He brings a sense of well-rounded experience to
worldly knowledge and bad examples.
What was it? Bad decisions. What was the line?
Bad examples.
We're actually doing this recap show for 20 books a week after the fact because we already had David Weber lined up for the week following.
I was wondering why it felt like it's been so long. I forgot David Weber.
Yeah. Okay. And I didn't realize it when I scheduled it.
I didn't mean it like that.
No. And there he is. There goes Steve. And that's why Josh does the scheduling, because he sucks at it. Well, and it didn't even occur to me when I sent him the dates. I was like, oh yeah, we'll be back from Vegas then. It's not like we'll have anything to talk about that show at all. Let's just have David on.
It was a great night. It was a great show.
Oh, it was a great show.
His microwave was beautiful.
It's crazy. We're almost like twins, David Weber and I, because we have coffee pots on our desks. So, I mean, that's how kindred spirits we are.
I've thought about
Steve Weber.
That. I really have.
Steve Weber.
Yeah.
What, put your coffee mug? Is this allowed? Is this okay? Are we gonna lose David Weber next time if I do this for the rest of the show?
No, we're just not gonna. Next time he's on, you're gonna have to skip it. That's
the whole time. I felt like poor David was trying his absolute best.
He was
getting into the shot. He's like, "Can you see my shirt?" I'm like, "Man, we can't even see your neck."
We had I can't remember what guest we had on, but it was back in season 1, and I'm not exactly sure like how his laptop was set up, but it was like basically from here up that's all you could see was his eyes. And I don't know like if he was not looking, because like right now I'm looking at the camera and I'm like, okay, you can see me, right? Like, so I don't know how you wouldn't see like, oh, it's just my eye. Like, I don't know. I guess it really doesn't matter. He was
trying to be artistic or something.
No, it's like a Van Gogh episode of Keystone. It's Key Go.
Hey, have you guys read? I'm guessing maybe Josh would probably be the one because I think you had the most David Weber knowledge. Have you read War Gods?
Doesn't sound familiar.
So we got a review on Web tonight that compared us to War Gods from David Weber. Thought I've never heard of this War Gods from David Weber.
Might be one of his. He's got a couple collaborations.
Really?
He's actually done several, and he actually was doing collaborations back in like the early '90s before really even collaborations became. And now
him and Eric Flint, I think, did a lot of stuff back in the day. Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to take any comparison to David Weber, but I didn't. I mean, is it a fantasy? I didn't look it up. Is it a fantasy? Is it a?
I don't know. Let's look it up.
Why would my epic fantasy be compared to David Weber, who pretty much does mostly sci-fi?
Well, yeah. Well,
might be just the style.
The War of God's Own is, I think, maybe.
Okay.
Oh, War God. Okay, yeah. Oath Swords, War God, Book 1. It's looks like fantasy.
Nice. I have to read that.
Back in 2012, looks like he published a 4-book series.
Sweet.
I did not know he did a fantasy. I'm gonna have to read that. Interesting.
Yeah.
That is not the show sponsor this week, just FYI, for those wondering. You know what? I need to jump in the live chat now that I'm thinking about it because I'm not paying any attention to that. This show is kind of a laid back show tonight. We're going to be talking about our experiences in Vegas, our takeaways from the 20 Books to 50 Gay conference. Chuck was a loser and missed it.
True story.
Yeah, true story.
Anniversaries, whatever. They happen every year. It's not.
There's
like
a spoiler here, though. Spoiler. Chuck, what you really missed was us sitting.
20th. Well, here's the really sweet part. It was our 20th anniversary, and she ended up having to go out of town for work.
Wow.
So I was on dad duty.
So it's a sore spot anyway.
Yeah, there was no way for her to get out of it. It was kind of funny, actually.
I'll do the spoiler, Chuck. What you missed was us sitting around in Fridays for the entire trip. Our whole trip was spent at
Fridays.
Look at all of our photos.
I'm sorry, but I saw evidence to the contrary.
No, funny though. Every time Keystroke Medium came walking down the aisleway, the Friday service, you could literally see them cringe.
Oh, yeah,
There's like, these are fucking people.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
It's crazy. TGI Fridays is like the only place except for the buffet that you can sit down and eat in Sam's Town. The only place. And the service was ridiculous. Like it was sit down and order your food and wait 45 minutes and then get some food.
And we got charged for the dinner portions instead of the lunch portions. And Kayleen threw a fit and she got her money back.
I ordered lunch. I'm not paying for dinner. I don't care if you gave me dinner.
Kayleen stand on a table and shake her fists and say, "No, I wanted the lunch portion." I mean, that was
the power, Kayleen. Fight the power.
It was pretty awesome.
She's like, I
paid lunch portion for the dinner.
I will throw up 2 of my tenders. You give me my.
I'm gonna make it a life goal to be there next year. So
yeah.
I'm going to make it a life goal not to be there next year unless it's somewhere other than Sam's Town. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a good place?
No, I mean, Sam's Town's okay, except...
I mean, all I saw was the videos, so it looked okay in the videos.
I got shanked once. I got straight up shanked.
Oh, he did not.
That was when Josh and I went to go get a tattoo in the middle of the heart of the ghetto.
Sorry, I've got a little visitor.
I thought I heard something in the background
there. I was not. I did not realize that it was such a far walk from Sam's Town to the tattoo parlor, and also compounding the situation, Jonathan Yanez murdered Steve's legs that morning.
True story.
And so.
You worked out with that guy?
Yeah, man. It was.
I don't really know him. I haven't really talked to him before, but I've seen him a lot on social media, and he looks like he's a beast in the gym.
The correct phrase was Jonathan worked out Steve. That's the
story. Man, but it was. I mean, it was well worth being able to say I finally got to work out with Jonathan.
Wow.
But hey,
my old ass would die.
Yeah, this totally, Josh, this should totally be like a one-on-one, but we're going to do it right here. So do you realize that like there are world-renowned tattoo shops on the strip? Like DJ from Ink Master, like twice winner, like we missed that. What did we do? What was that? We missed the opportunity.
I Googled the closest tattoo parlor to Sam's Town and put my finger on it, and that's where it was.
Yeah, but I also bet you pay a premium for those world-class tattoo parlors.
But it'd be worth it. It'd be worth it. I mean, what, $1.20 an hour? Who cares?
Hey,
right?
Yeah. I still haven't got my 50-year ink.
Was the tattoo worth it, Steve?
The view might have been worth it. I don't know about,
It was worth it. For those who haven't seen, here, check this out. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, yeah. There it is.
A little closer.
So do you have to like wear long sleeves all the time at your day job now?
No, they're getting ready to change the policy. So
oh, cool.
I knew that going into it.
was about to say that may have been a drunken decision if that's the case.
Yeah.
I don't know how hot it gets in Wichita, but damn.
In the summertime, it gets super hot.
Especially now that you got that tattoo, right?
Yeah, there it is.
I'm super hot anyway. And JR brings up a good point. I do need to shave, but we're doing a no shave November thing for our department, and they said, "Hey, you pay $20 to whatever it is, and you can grow out your goatee." And so I did. So this bad boy will be here till the 7th of December, and then it's gone.
Ken's asking what's on your arm. Steve's on your arm.
Oh, Steve, all of Steve is on my arm. All of it. The greatest part about it is I didn't tell my wife I was doing it. That was a fun phone call.
Oh, was it?
I don't suggest that ish.
I had the tattoo opening on Saturday. Like, you know, my tattoo artist put out, "Hey, I got an opening," and I'm just like, "Hey, babe, I'm gonna go get a tattoo." She's like, "Both kids are here. We're all sick." I'm like, I gotta go.
Like, priorities, babe. Priorities.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know, the cool thing about Sam's Town is that all the authors are there, and they had these breakout sessions where people were going and doing little genre things. But the coolest thing I think about 20 Books is just meeting the people you talk with on a daily basis and then hanging out with, right? And so, like, I don't know, Steve, Chuck, Kayleen, we've all hung out for what, a year or two.
Yeah, it's been a while, man.
Or talking on Facebook or whatever, and then you get to go and hang out with these people that you know just through Facebook and the internet, and it's really fun, especially, you know, when those relationships are such that you can just sit down and have lunch at a table, and it's no big thing, right? The first time Scott and I went 2 years ago, it was when we first met Kayleen, it was like, "Oh, hey, we met Kayleen," but then it was super awkward. Like, what do we talk about now? We don't know each other. But
yeah, I ran up and I'm like, "Scott, you're the only person I know." I'm just gonna hang around you as awkwardly as I can until you walk away, and I feel really uncomfortable following you. And then you were behind the pillar, and you're just like, "I don't know who you are. Oh my God, no, you're Kayleen." But this time, I walk in. This year was better than last year because I had to establish the relationships, so following you guys around wasn't as awkward.
This was the first time I had met my co-author and the guy that owns the publishing company with me. First time we met, man, we've known each other forever. And somebody asked me, so was it like a handshake moment or like a hug moment or like, I'm like, we kissed, we Frenched, my tongue in his. It was awesome.
I don't know if you guys know this, but there's always that line, and like Steve doesn't even see it. He just just walks right on by.
Well, I see it, but it looks more like a crack in the road. Like maybe it's a warning, but rules are meant to be broken. Isn't that a thing?
As long as you can handle the consequences.
I guess we'll kind of go around the room and maybe talk about some of the cool things that we did in Vegas. Maybe I already mentioned one or two, but maybe
you want me to just fire questions off to you guys since I wasn't there, since I'm a loser and everything.
Yeah. You asked
me to do it that way because I might have questions that other people who weren't there have questions. And all you guys in the live chat, if you have a question about what these guys went through at the conference, please. Throw them out there. We'll do that.
Before you start that, I need to say 2 things.
God damn it,
yeah, that's my bad. I have 3 questions. So 2 things. One, everybody that made the KSM meetup on Tuesday night while we were there, that was freaking phenomenal.
Awesome.
And I apologize for not live streaming that or doing a video. It was just like caught up in the moment, like. After I said my little deal, and we had a raffle for hats, and it's an awesome thing for me and for Scott to stand there. When we went last year, it was just me and Scott, and 3 or 4 or 5 people knew who we were. This year we went and we had 45 people going to an event that we put on, and they wanted to be there because we were doing it, and that was freaking cool to me. And oh, and yeah, Rick's right. My announcement went all over the atrium because they gave me a microphone. Which you give me a microphone, I'm going to talk into it. But that was very, very special for me personally, just to see all these people come and hang out with us. And I made the announcement there, which I should have done a second a video on it, but then I didn't. And I've been smashing edits out for like 2 weeks straight on Terra Nova 3 and just haven't taken the time to make the other announcement on the show. So now I'll do it for everybody that wasn't there who's watching now. We're starting basically a rewards program, a Keystroke Medium rewards program. It's not a newsletter. The only time you're ever going to get an email is when we email you for basically. So the only thing you have to do to qualify is go to our website, keystroke.com/thanks. Put your email address and your name in the box and add yourself to the list. And what this list does is it makes you eligible to win these monthly giveaways, prizes, and then we're having a quarterly giveaway. Ellen Campbell is doing editing package quarterly for our members only, members of the Thank You deal. So go there and sign up. A couple of the cool things that we have that we may be giving away in the future is.
Hey, Josh, stop for one second.
Am I the only one that thinks his new goatee is muffling his voice terribly?
Yeah, you sound like Wally.
Wally.
Exactly. I keep hearing
There
that.
you go. That's a little better there.
How's that?
Much better.
That's much better. Yeah.
Can you do that whole piece over again?
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
Yeah, start back to me saying, "Damn it, Josh."
And we're live. So we also got a lot of these cool things from Tom Edwards. They're these cardboard paper art designs with his website information on the back. We're going to give some of these away. These are really, really neat. They're full color from the different colors covers that he's done. Nathan Heisted and Colony.
Nice.
MR Forbes, and I'm not exactly sure which book that is, but a lot of art, some bookmarks from Christian Calais as well. We're going to be doing hat giveaways, shirt giveaways. Jennifer Yanez is giving us some AMS marketing packages. Basically, she'll go in and look at your AMS copy. She'll look at your blurb. She'll basically give you
shit, I want one of those.
Yeah. Don't sign up on the list, Chuck. Shit. I mean, just kind of in keeping with what we do as a company and giving back and doing more for authors than any other show around. I need the waving arm guy with the car dealer with the fan.
The flailing arm man.
Inflatable flailing arm man.
Yeah, that guy.
Danger, Will Robinson. Danger.
So really cool deal. Go and sign up. I think we'll probably start at the first of the year, maybe next month, maybe for Christmas. Ooh, we can do a Christmas show. I'm gonna get a Santa hat and go sign up. And
is Christmas a Monday?
And when is Christmas a Monday?
That'd be fantastic. I mean, I don't have anything to do on Christmas, right? Like Tuesday, Christmas Eve. Oh, that sucks.
Is it? Oh,
yeah,
I don't know.
Christmas is the 25th,
on Tuesday.
Right?
We could do a Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve show.
25th.
If only I had just said that. Tuesday. Nobody is listening to me. I quit.
I'm listening
I
to you.
heard
I
you,
was
man.
checking.
I heard you, man. I heard
Steve
you.
is on the Keystone show, and we're on the Keystroke show.
I'm lucky if I know it's December, so I trust you, Steve.
Thanks, Chuck.
Okay, sorry to interrupt on my show, Chuck. Go ahead.
Well, was I supposed to do something? No. All right. So, first question: did all three of you actually attend the conference, or did some of you guys just go down to see the group? So, Steve didn't go to the conference. What about you?
I was shaking my head. No,
dude, it's a video.
But you're on the video. No, I'm not.
It's on YouTube. Everyone that watches it will see you shake your head.
But you were the.
What about you, Kayleen? Did you go to the conference?
I attended parts of the conference.
Okay, well then for Josh and Kayleen, what was your biggest takeaway from like the presenters and all that stuff? What did you pick up some new useful piece of information that you would like to share with all the wonderful Keystroke Medium fans out there?
So for me, I sat in on what?
Nothing. Go ahead. I'm fucking around.
I sat in on the Writing into the Dark presentation.
What was that about?
So that one was essentially like a pantser writing. So you just keep writing and writing. Except the way that he described it, you write until you can't write anymore. And then once you get to that point, you jump out of the story, go back to the beginning, edit as you go, and now you're getting fresh ideas, continue writing. And then you just keep repeating that little loop.
So kind of looping back and using what you did to inspire what you're going to do next.
Oh, that's how I write. I call it onioning.
So,
that's kind of cool.
The funny thing about that is that's how I wrote my first book and how I started to write my second book. And then at that point, I got involved with 20 books. And then I started hearing all these different ways to outline and this and that. And I kind of fell away from that. So my third and fourth book were really, really hard to write. And hearing that, I was like, holy shit, I just need to go back to my instincts and just keep writing and then outlining as I'm writing. So it was confirming.
That's cool though, that you heard a way that works for you, and then you tried some other stuff, and then you realize I got to go back to what works for me. And I think that reinforces the fact that there is no one true way to do this stuff. You know, we all have to kind of cherry pick and find our own way to get things done. So that's very cool. What about you, Josh? What'd you get besides the tattoo?
Besides the tattoo, I went to the opening remarks when they opened the conference, and then
there's a story there because Steve's already laughing.
Sorry.
So.
Sorry.
No, it was good. It was a good opening. As per Craig and Michael's repertoire, it was off the cuff and just back and forth, and just kind of a candid discussion, kind of a motivating speech. I went also to Richard's presentation. Richard Fox did a presentation on the top 10 tips for indie author writer's mindset, and I got to sit through it twice, and he actually used one of my jokes.
You gotta explain how you sat through it twice. That's weird.
I was about to say, were you just so drunk you had to sit through it twice to get the information, or
so he practiced. He gave like a couple practice presentations, and so we went up to my room, and he just basically went through the presentation all from beginning to end before he went down and did it for real. And so I basically I sat through his practice presentation, and then I sat through the actual presentation. And then he used one of my jokes, which was he pulled out this Infinity Gauntlet, Thanos's Infinity Gauntlet, and he said something funny, and then he tried to snap his fingers, and it wouldn't. They didn't touch, and so he said something like, "Half of you appreciate that I can't snap." Something like, if you've seen it before.
God, I wish I had a cricket's sound.
God, both of you. It's a fantastic joke, and it worked. It worked for the presentation. So for you guys,
because everyone's afraid to not laugh at Richard Fox. Everyone's terrified.
That's true. That is true.
Don't laugh at Richard.
So the thing, who was it? Chuck Tingle was that the thing?
Was he there?
So no, well, apparently he was everywhere, but I know what that is now. And then they made a joke about that in one of the presentations. I was just really excited that I was behind the scenes talking with other authors, so I got some inside information, and
we are Chuck Tingle.
Inside jokes. So
indeed.
Anyway, that was funny to me.
There was, I didn't really go for the panels, even though there were some really good panels that I probably could have learned a lot from. Podium Publishing. I think Podium did a panel. Victoria was there.
It was them and Faraway Voices.
Yeah, that probably would have been a decent panel to go to. Find a way, I think.
Is it Find a Way? I thought it was Far Away.
No, I think it's Find a Way.
Well, you thought it was Keystone Medium too.
True. Man, I think a lot of things.
True.
Let me qualify why I was laughing.
Name all the stuff.
I feel a little bad. I'll qualify why I was laughing. So Josh made the joke that he made the comment that he went to the opening ceremonies, and I realized that the reason I didn't go to anything that day was because of your stupid tattoo. And I enjoyed every moment being with you there. But like we went to lunch and then all of a sudden we were in a tattoo shop for 4.5 hours.
True.
And I had, a lovely time with you, but that's actually why I missed all, and it was fine. Like, I don't care, but that's why.
Well, so that goes back to what I was going to say about not making a lot of the panels was the fellowship with the authors that we had. Like I'm going to make Steve feel like a big douchebag now, but Steve and I sat and we talked for 3 hours while I was getting my tattoo, and it was some of the best conversation and
I agree, 100%.
Just kind of sitting together and chatting about different things, and just an experience that you wouldn't get just by going and sitting and listening to someone at a panel.
Right.
Which not to take away from the conference, I think a lot of people got a lot of things out of it, and you can kind of pick and choose the different things that you might want to take away and learn from the conference. But for me specifically, it was really just a huge networking party for me to go and meet these people and solidify relationships. And yes, JR, we had a bromance for a while.
So who did you meet that you never met before?
Well, pretty much everybody. I mean, Steve and I had never met. I met JR in person, and funny story about that.
I mean, did you meet anybody that like you've never seen online or anything?
I met Matthew Mayer. Matthew Mather. Is it Mather? I actually went to dinner with him. We got shitty on the strip with him. That was fun. Wednesday night was just a man. Whew. I was hurting the next day. I can tell you that right now. But I mean, I don't know if I had ever met Josh Dazelle before, but I met him there. That was really fun. Nick Sansbury Smith, he'll be on the show here probably in a month or so. We actually got to do a live stream with him on his Facebook page. We were in the atrium with a lot of people, and that was really fun. A lot of people I'd met the year before. So it was just kind of doing second meetups and stuff, but I had an idea and I had a thought where I was going with that and I lost it. But
well, I agree. Let me cut in. I agree. You remember where you were at, unless
go for it.
My wife asked me.
Show sponsor.
My wife asked me the best parts of it, and I did. I did go to about 3 sessions. I went to Nick Smith's session. Nick's a good friend, and so like that was a good one. That was a really good one. But when she asked me what the best times were, I did mention, of course, the tattoo shop and sitting with Josh, getting to meet Rhett Bruno, my co-author, for the first time, meeting Matt Mather and spending time in that little what I was jokingly called the brain trust there in the atrium. A lot of the KSM folks were out there, and Jason Onspach, of course, he and I have been really good friends online for 2 years now, and we had never met. And so I think that some of the most valuable moments there, regardless, I mean, Nick Smith had a great 45-minute delivery of basically the hybrid concept of authoring. And
I really wish I would have made that one.
And it was great. He's a 7-figure author, and he explained how that happened. And it was interesting because, I don't want to nobody misunderstand this, but I'm sitting there and I was videotaping some stuff for him, and so I got like right up front and I'm listening to kind of the people around, and he talked about his first advance, and he said something like, my first advance was $3,000 a book, and I heard all the people around me like, oh, that's so amazing, and he was setting up for his like $1.2 million. You know what I mean?
Right.
And to be able to see the different layers and levels of authors there, the question was asked, how many of you in the room make $100,000 a month? And I think like 9 people raised their hands. And I looked and I didn't recognize some of the people that were raising their hand. And of course, they could have been like romance authors, and I wouldn't recognize them. But what's beautiful is that you're in this place where, and then they asked the question, how many of you have never published a book? And oh my Lord, 3/4 of the people in the room raised their hands. And
really?
Oh God, yeah.
There's a lot.
And Rhett and I
that actually surprises me.
So Rhett and I were talking afterwards, and we were both floored, just like you, Chuck, floored by the fact that there were so many people in the room that had never written or published a book. And so there was this really kind of cool encouragement that that we're in this real melting pot of levels of authoring. Of course, I don't consider myself anywhere near the top by any stretch, but I have published books, so I'm like kind of there in the middle somewhere. And I think Kayleen and I talked kind of on Facebook Messenger. That conference, I would say, if I had, I can't put percentages on things, but like I would say 70% of the things that they discuss are potentially for people who have either never written and published a book, or are in the earlier stages trying to understand a lot of the processes. But then there's a good 30 or 40% of that stuff that's beneficial to everybody. Nick Smith's presentation, for one, Richard Fox's presentation for another was really good. And so it's such a great, I think it was more than a quarter or a third. I think it was three. I thought I said like 3/4.
Yeah.
Rick, like 3/4, like 75% of the people I felt like raised their hand. And so anyway, when she asked me the best parts, it all went back to sitting at the poker table or, whatever, like not necessarily sitting in the conference, but without the conference, we wouldn't have had these amazing opportunities.
Oh, I agree. And I completely will say that the conference is really, really good and does a really good job of providing those authors that are just starting out or have 2 or 3 year books under their belt that are still trying to learn and kind of get a handle on the business. This conference is bar none the best conference you can do for that, for 2 reasons. One, there's a lot of authors there that make $100,000 a month. 2, they know and they remember where they were at when they made nothing, and they want to help you. Well, 3, the conference is only like $120. And so it's cheap. Yeah. And the flight's actually the most expensive thing.
I believe
so $8 round trip, son. Spirit Airlines.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get with you the next time I book my plane.
Live uncomfortably. That's what I say.
Right.
I'll drive.
Well, Paul Summerhays asks, is there a better conference in the U.S. for the money that you're going to spend and for the knowledge that you have the potential to gain? I don't think there is. But like I said, you can pick and choose what panels you want to go to. There's several breakout rooms they're going to do next year that focus are genre specific, that will really kind of nail down what different things are happening in sci-fi or romance or urban fantasy or whatever. Or you can just go and do what we did and sit in TGI Fridays or the Atrium bar and hang out and talk. There were several. What day was it when we were like, let's talk collaborations? And
that was the day. There started out 6 of us.
Yeah.
This was like one of the last days of the conference, and we're walking to TGI Fridays, and we're just like, oh God, this place again. Okay. And by the time we got there was like 16 of us. Yep. And then we're trying to get a table for 16 of us, and then more show up, and we're like, oh, it's actually 20.
Right.
They were so pissed.
They were not happy.
No, we said 12 at first, and then we're like,
12, that's right.
And she's like, 20 is a lot more than 12.
Yeah. And there's a couple people that are asking, yes, it was recorded. You've got to get into one of the Facebook groups. if you search 20 Books to Vegas, there's a couple groups on there, and I can't remember which one has the videos. But if you're a member of 20 Books to 50K, you can search it in there and probably find it.
Oh, cool. I didn't know they did that.
All the main room sessions were recorded. The breakout sessions were not recorded, which I think they're doing differently next year.
There were a couple that got recorded, but
yeah,
we had the I think it was the second day they had lunch provided in the cafeteria, or whatever room, the silver room, or whatever you want to call that. And I remember debating whether or not, so we stayed at the Bellagio, which was like 20 something minutes away, and so like we had to every day kind of decide what time were we going to get there, because once you're at Sam's Town from the Bellagio, like you don't want to go back. Like it's a $30 taxi ride. And
yep.
And so I was really glad we decided to go to lunch that day. I sat next to Craig Allenson, author of X-Force, like, freaking
nice.
Craig Allenson. And Craig, I mean, I'm not going to disclose how much money he makes, but like we said, $100,000 a month. I think that's pennies for Mr. Craig Allenson. But the beautiful thing, I don't know if this is encouragement or not encouragement, but Craig has no idea how he made the money and sold the books. He's the second guy that I've had the opportunity to sit and talk with. Kel Cade lives pretty close to me here in the Dallas area, and Kel wrote Dark King's Tidings, King's Dark Tidings, I think it is. Same story.
Oh, the guy that looks like the ones that look like kind of a Assassin's Creed type.
Yeah. And I read the first book and it was very, very good. So like, but here's the thing, Rick, here's the encouragement. All right. Maybe it's not encouragement, but Craig and Kel have the same story. Kel and Craig uploaded their first book on a whim, unedited, bullcrap, homemade cover. Just not good at all. And Kel would be very upset because he made it. And I said, man, that thing sucked. And he's like, thanks. But it was, they just uploaded it. And so Craig's story was the first month he made $420 on Amazon. And so here's the encouragement, I hope, because like we get so caught up in the launch that we forget about this part. $420 the first month. He didn't do anything. Never did a single Facebook ad, AMS ad, nothing. The next month he made $4,000. The following month he made $8,000, and then he started making $1,000 a day and decided to quit his job at HP, and because he had to write. And now here he is, like 7 or 8 books in. Mavericks just came out, and I think he's releasing another one in December. Kel was the same deal, man. He was poor as dirt and just decided to upload a book one day, and it just took off. So like we get so caught up in all this nonsense, which is not all nonsense, but like so much of like we got to do this, we got to do that. But there's these stories of guys that just wrote freaking good books.
Yeah. Good
books that sold because they were good books.
Well, I completely agree. And I was thinking about this the other day when I was like, I was kind of having a down moment and thinking about what you're saying about they publish a book and then they make it big time or whatever. But I can't remember if I told you this while I was there, but as I think about, like making it big, and there's a lot of things happening in my writer life that are they're really good for me right now. Some really cool deals that are going to happen and that have happened. That are kind of really propelling me into the next tier. But as I thought about like what you're saying, like people publish one book and then they smash it. I would hate to be an Andy Weir, right? Or an Ernest Cline. And Ernest Cline had some different books, before he published Ready Player One. But like we had this discussion in Vegas where I said, man, I loved Ready Player One and I didn't like Armada. And you said, man, I freaking loved Armada, but I hadn't read Ready Player One first. And I think if you had, it probably would have damaged your enjoyment of Armada slightly, because that's how I felt about it. But with Andy Weir, like you've got The Martian and then you got Artemis, and you can just look at how it's been received, and I would hate for my career to go, bam, here's $1 million, and then everything else you publish, everyone is comparing it to that instead of just having like instead of having a backlist where like, I really like that book, let's go see what else he's written. Everybody's comparing it to, well, that's not as good as Ready Player One, or it's not as good as The Martian.
Yeah, the classic one-hit wonder dilemma.
Right.
There's the same danger. There's the same danger the other way though, because like, especially I'm gonna just I'll crap on everything for 1 second. Like, especially the way that we do things nowadays, where we're like, every book we write is practice. Well, if you do get that hit, and then everybody goes back to your back catalog and reads all your practice novels, I mean, that's almost as bad, isn't it?
Potentially, yes. If they're really bad.
And that's an interesting argument that I've read before about people who want to criticize the indie movement, because back in the 80s and 90s, when I was doing the submission rejection tango with all the big trad houses before all this digital stuff, the argument is that your practice novels don't get to be published.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So they don't, there was never that risk of, okay, this one's great, but the first 3 were utter crap, because that was the argument in favor of gatekeepers. Yep. So the question then becomes is there some value to that? I mean, because we all know some folks throw a book out there when it's not ready to be out there. And, is it more to our detriment or our benefit that we have the ability to put stuff that's not necessarily ready for the public eye out there yet?
So I have 2 thoughts on that. And the first one is that JR has a really good point about trad pub publishing crap books anyway.
He's responding though to a conversation he and I had in Vegas. And JR, I stick to it. The trad pub books are still edited properly and still read beginning to end like a coherent novel.
True.
That is the issue I have, is when book and listen, man, just castrate me, right? But don't throw out a book that doesn't make sense just because it's a practice book.
No, I completely agree with you. And I think that a lot of people kind of miss the idea of indie publishing, where they're like, I wrote a first draft, I'm going to put it up and make money because I can fix it later. And we've seen that actually. Yeah, don't do that. But also I think that there's a point that, you look at some books that are traditionally published and you're like, well, this book sucks, but that book didn't suck because of the editing. It didn't suck because it wasn't coherent. It just sucked because the story was horrible. Right. And somehow somebody thought the story was good. So, Steve, you have a point.
Yeah, that's a hashtag my opinion moment where like,
right.
Like Cersei, I thought Cersei was an awful book, but it apparently was not, because it killed. Like this last, I don't remember who wrote it, but like, you know which one I'm talking about or no?
The title doesn't.
It was like it was like one of the bigger books of this year, and I was so excited about reading it.
I don't know that one. But I think that just comes down to the classic, we're all individuals,
Yeah. At the end of the day,
everybody's going to like stuff that not that the majority liked, but you didn't.
And JR, I agree with you, man. Indie does not mean unedited, but I'm one of those guys that reads every like 4 or 5. At least 4 or 5 pages of every free book that I download. Every one. Like, I don't download free books and then just let them sit in my Kindle. And I can tell you, like, 80% of those books that I've read needed an editor. Needed.
Right. Well, and that's what I was trying to get to, is that if you are going to do it indie, make sure you're doing it right. And so you're not. Because I think a lot of people still turn their nose up at indie, and not specifically because it's indie, but because there's a great many number of indie writers out there that do exactly what you're saying. They publish a first draft, and then it taints readers for going and trying other indie authors, or they look at it and go, oh, that's a self-published book. I read a self-published book one time, and it was crap, and it needed an editor, so I'm not going to touch this one.
So everybody that looks like they're indie down the road is you're going to make that same assumption.
I just want to know how people are being able to discern the indie books from the trad pub, Because if you put two in front of me, I probably wouldn't be able to tell.
Well, Amazon will tell you.
One was made by,
Amazon will tell you right off, right? I know a lot of TradPub readers that check the publisher section on Kindle before they actually.
Right, and I think a lot of times the Kindle Unlimited thing will tell them too, because mostly indies I think are in Kindle Unlimited.
Well, every book has its publisher listed, right? So if you Google the publisher that's listed and nothing shows up, then you could probably be sure that it's an indie published book.
Right.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Luke asked a good question, and I thought I want to. So at 20 books, I'm going to give you both sides of this argument. Okay, Craig made the comment. Here's the question: so should you never publish a book if you can't afford an editor? According to Craig Martell, I think it was Craig Martell. Forgive me, Craig, if you're hearing this and it wasn't you, but according to somebody who spoke, and I thought it was Craig, they said if you can't afford an editor, just throw it out there.
That was probably Anderley, because that's how the Arthurian Gambit started.
So maybe, and I cringed at the thought of that.
Yeah.
So from my perspective, I would say this: there is always some way of getting an editor on your book. If you really care about your art that much. I mean, I was in the music industry. Like, it takes money to produce a high quality project. I stood out on a street corner with a sign that said looking to record my album. No joke, man. I mean, I needed money. I did it. And I would just argue that there's always a way.
So, and here's and Michael J. Sullivan was on the show, and he's also said he had a thread in 20 books. I think it was last year, where he said, I'm quitting TradPub and I'm going basically hybrid, right? And basically his deal was, I can make more money, and obviously you can make more money doing the indie route, doing what you need to do, learning the markets, doing your audiobook deals, like doing all that. You can make way more money, right? But then the issue comes up, quality, like Luke is asking. So, and his answer was, if you can't afford editing, if you can't afford a cover artist, if you can't afford formatting, if you can't afford the basic things that are going to make your book better and readable, then do traditional, or do some version of traditional. Go with a small press that's going to do it for you.
But
obviously you have to do your research, right? Like, don't go sign up with a mom and pop small press out of Arizona. Like, do your research. Like, Steve and Rhett have a very good publishing company that they do very good work with. If you can't do it, then make friends with an author and see if you can co-author and do something through them. Like, there's different ways to do it if you honestly can't afford to do that stuff, to do the stuff that's going to make your book an actual good ebook or a marketable product. And that's a lot of things that you get going to like these conferences. Like, there was a whole table full of business cards at the back of the main hall at 20 books that were just services out the yin yang, cover, formatting, AMS stuff. Like, oh, by the way, we're giving away a lot of that stuff here on the show.
And look at Ellen's in there saying maybe editors do payment plans. Like, I used to record music. Like, I wouldn't go, I want to record an album, but I can't afford a guitar.
Mm-hmm.
You need certain things in order to produce high quality. And people like Ellen, I edit. People like me, I would do a payment plan in a heartbeat. If you said I had a book I need to get done, give me $100 for the next 10 months or whatever it is,
Guy Anthony DeMarco actually said one of the big things that I said this actually, Guy, I said this 3 years ago, and I'm not going to take credit for it, but I did say it 3 years ago. He says, join a cooperative collective where you trade pro skills. And Scott and I and Nathan Heisted and a couple other guys did this 3 years ago. And it was one of the best decisions I ever made. And that is, find a group of authors that are either in your genre or that you get along with personally, and just form a collective with them. and do different things for each other. Like Steve and I exchange services, or Nathan and I exchange services, or we just become friends and we just do it for free for each other, right? Because we're friends. So like with this show, for instance, this is one of the biggest things with Keystroke is I'm not $1 million author. I'm not a 6-figure author, but I've got a good show and we have a lot of fun hanging out, talking about writing, inspiring and motivating people. And that gets me an in, right? And it gets everybody else an in because I have an in, all of you have an in. And so it's like, it's not just, can I afford an editor? It's going through and networking and finding out what other people are doing. What can you do for them? And, but getting back to the 20 books deal, you go to this conference and you see all these people that are showing their services, and a lot of these people are willing to work with you. Like you're saying, doing payment plans. They're willing to, talk with them and become their friend, and then they're going to give you a discount because you're your friend, or you met them in person, or they'll do something for free. For me, I offer to do shit for free for people all the time, just because I can do it, right? And it might not be a huge thing, it might not be a big thing, but my whole philosophy on everything is, what can I do for somebody else, not what can they do for me. And that's done a lot for me as a writer. But
what would you say to somebody who has the shy introvert thing and has trouble with the ask, like with approaching somebody they don't know, talking, asking for help, offering help? What would you say to them from that mindset?
I would say, without a shadow of a doubt, like, find your tribe, find your people to hang out, and just hang out with them first. And that's some of the cool thing about Keystroke is you can come and hang out, and like we had the biggest subset of people at the conference. Like, you walk around 20 books, you walk around yes,
that's awesome, man.
You walk around Samstown for that whole week, and you could not go an hour without seeing Keystroke gear there. I mean, there was hats, there were shirts, there were sweatshirts. Everybody was, I mean, it was legit, like, really cool.
I miss that, man. I really do.
There's like 4 or 5 people in this chat right now that I have literally said the words. There's people sitting in this panel here that I've said the words, "Don't tell anyone what I charged you for that." Right? I mean, like, because you get hooked up, and it's more about seeing. I got to pay my bills, dude. I'm full time doing this right now. But like, so many people are just trying to make it work. And so the hope and the goal is just to say, okay, what can you afford? Is it going to be worth my time in some capacity? And just like, sure, I could do it for that. And
I can tell.
Yeah,
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, the hope is next time, I heard Luke say, like, I'll put my stuff out there, and when I can afford editing, I will. The hope is that the next time when you go, I could afford editing, or I could afford a book cover, then you'll go back to the guy that helped you out in the first place. But that's what this community is all about. It's like, how do we get people doing what they love doing for the most inexpensive way possible?
Yeah, and you go to a 20 books conference, and you watch people network and talk to each other, and you could just see money being made, and connections being made, and friendships being built. And that's one of the cool things I think Craig and Michael have done with 20 books. So, regardless of the success stories that you see, because Steve, you were right when you said there was a lot of people that raised their hands that made 100,000 a month that I didn't recognize anybody that raised their hands that made 100,000 a month, right? Because they're just whatever. You talk to somebody on the street and you're like, who's Tom Clancy? They're like, I don't know. Right. But the dude was a millionaire, right? He's one of the most famous authors of present day, but they don't know who they are. It's the same thing here. But those same people that make 100,000 a month are there. They aren't there for them. They're already making $100,000 a month. Right.
I do want to add, from the first year I went, I ran in saying hi to you and Scott. And then from that point on, I sat in on every main presentation. I really didn't talk to a whole lot of people. I tried to, sort of walk around awkwardly. And if there seemed like there was room for me to step in on a conversation, I would kind of just like smile and then, everyone was really friendly. Oh, what genre do you write? And people would then ask me questions, which was nice. But I didn't put myself out there as much. So this year, instead of, I guess, sort of on the side of the fear that you're failing in things because you can't afford this, so you're failing. So I'm going to hide that. I'm going to hide that I can't afford this and pretend that I have all these things that I don't so that I fit in. Throw all that out. You need to be honest with everybody that's there because they're going to understand. They've been there too. They've worked, to get to where they are. So they can show you different paths that you might be able to take. So the first year I was there, I would say, oh yeah, I have beta readers, and my main beta reader, said this and that, talking all the sharp lingo. When in reality, it was, my mom was my main beta reader, and I couldn't say those words. I was afraid to say those words. And then this year I was honest, like, I don't understand what my genre is. I know it's fantasy, I know it's sci-fi, but I don't know what that underlining subgenre is. So I actually talk to people. Hey, this is what my universe is. These are the things that I'm writing about. And someone's like, hey, that kind of sounds like space opera. And I'm like, space what? And so I found space opera people. I talked to them. We conversated. I was like, well, what do you find in a space opera? And that was one of the most uplifting things ever, because I stopped swallowing my pride and my fear and was just honest.
Yeah, you finally saw yourself outside yourself and you realized you weren't just the only one.
Yeah, so if you go to this conference, don't hide in the corner.
Yeah.
Be honest with what your situation is. If you can't afford editing, say, I really can't afford an editor. I've had 6 people read it, but I'm still really nervous to publish it. Maybe an editor would be like, hey, let me look at it. We'll work something out, just like you were saying, Steve.
I promise if I'm around in those conversations, I'm going to say, well, how can we get this thing edited for you?
Yeah.
John Evans said something just a bit up there. He said, don't count what was the phrasing? Don't talking about bootstrapping or doing it yourself or whatever. So like, I edit my own books and then I hand them off. There's nothing wrong with editing your own books if you're an editor.
Right.
And if you could be honest with yourself and like know when to cut darlings, so to speak, like, I really like this part, but it's not necessary, or like, whatever. But the goal is at the end of that process to hand it off to beta readers that are going to be critical. A lot of times indie authors will I have some beta readers. Everything they ever read, they love. Everything.
Right. That's totally useless.
And the only reason I still have them is because they'll send me, and that sounds so mean, but I'm going to say it anyway. The only reason I still have them is because they'll send me a spreadsheet at the end of their reading with the typos that they found.
Yeah.
Right.
It becomes more of a line edit than an actual content edit.
But then you get your beta readers that go, this was stupid and it didn't work. And then you go, and you have to listen to those people. You don't have to listen to all of them, but like, you have to at least go, hey, Josh, would you read this part? Get a good author friend next to you where you could say, hey, would you just read this and see if you think it's stupid? Because one of my beta readers thought it was stupid. I make my own covers, right? So like, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that if you have the skill set to do it. But if you don't, you got to find a way. And I'll help. I'm telling you right now, I'll help.
I think a lot of that comes with not being afraid to be honest. Mm-hmm. Because
that's absolutely true. You should always be out front about
for the first year and a half. I was honest about my situation, but at the same time, I was trying not to make it seem as desolate as it was. So that hurt my potential to actually better my work. So now I'm 3 years in on this first series, and the covers are better than they were the first time, but they don't convey shit. And I've heard it enough times that they definitely need to be redone. But I've started listening to that. I've started saying, well, yeah, I made them myself because I really couldn't afford to even make payment plans with a cover artist at that time. But since I've started putting myself honestly out there, You know, now I'm able to exchange services with other authors. You know, I can read a manuscript and find spelling errors if that's what they need. You know, they can take my manuscript and do the same thing. You just start somewhere and then it will grow exponentially.
Well, Ellen did my first, Brother Dust was my first novel. It was co-written by another guy. And Ellen did my first sample edit. And she sent it back, and I just realized I was not in a position to afford it. And I just had to go, well, I can't afford it right now. And Ellen's actually really, really reasonable in pricing. And I remembered, I mean, I used to edit books back in, you know, my early 20s. And like, I went, you know I'm a grammar Nazi. Like, let me see if I could do this. And as I started chopping away paragraphs, I'm like, well, okay, I guess I'm not too attached to this process. But again, then you were done, you hand it off to somebody else. And I'm saying the same thing over again, so I'll shut up now.
You know, Ellen's a sweetheart, but my biggest problem is that she lives in my town, and I'm afraid she'll actually come to my house and cut me or something. And
she threatens it enough.
She does. That was the #1 threat she made in Vegas. I will cut you.
Ellen,
you know, I know we're getting up on time here, but I want to spin back to something Kayleen said a second ago that caught my attention about. She was talking about how she didn't want to talk about how desolate her situation was and all that stuff. And I want to say that if you have actually gone through the effort of creating something, a book, whatever, and putting it out in the world, your life already has something in it that 99 of the people in this world don't have. You know what? It doesn't matter if it's not as great as it could be, or if it's not as polished as it could be, or whatever. You've actually put yourself out there. You've actually created something that no one else on 7.5 billion people on this planet. You're the only one that could have created that story in that context in your way and put it out in the world. And that puts you ahead of most people. So never, ever, ever, no matter how bad it is, no matter how much you think it could be improved, never think that doing that is in any way a bad thing or a something that you don't need to talk about. Because I'm going to tell you right now, there are tons of people out there that wish they could do what we do on a daily basis.
I read a statistic that said the #1 thing that people said when asked, what do you wish you could do before you die, was write a book.
I've heard that one too. Yeah.
So you've already accomplished something that most people want to do and will not succeed in doing.
And to keep doing it again and again. Better.
Yeah.
So Guy Anthony mentioned our
foundation. Keep building on it. Just make it better, make it better, make it better. And before you die, you never know. You never know where you'll be. Every day is something new.
Yeah.
Guy Anthony DeMarco mentioned the show sponsor. We do have a show sponsor today, which I want to touch in, and we can keep going for a couple minutes. I like where the conversation's heading, even though some people are dropping out. But this week's sponsorship is Luke T. Barnett, and this is an extra special sponsorship because I just want to throw out there. First of all, Luke is a longtime viewer of the show. We've critiqued his work on the show. He was brave enough to send us a short story of his that we read and critiqued, and that was I mean that took a large amount of courage to be able to do that and sit through that live online while we're ripping his baby to shreds.
I thought we were pretty gentle.
It made it better because it was a good story. But he is our show sponsor this week. The thing that makes it extra special is that he was supposed to be our sponsor last week with David Weber, and he gave up his spot for Brandon Barr, which I thought that was pretty legit of Luke to do. So we have a show sponsor every week for a reason, because we like to spotlight authors. It helps us promote the show. But in this case, if you have not picked up Luke's book yet, you need to do it tonight, right now. Go do it. That is a direct order from Senior Commander Josh, because Luke is a really, really great guy. and you need to support what he's doing. The Cryos and Jade story by Luke T. Barnett. Can one find life where only death reigns? Can a servant of death be turned into a servant of life? Jade is desperate to escape her meaningless existence. Raiding the abandoned keep of the long-dead necromancer is just the thrill she's looking for, if it doesn't kill her first. But something lives in this place, something that has survived the tides of time and decay. In more ways than one, Jade must decide between life and death, between redemption and escape, and hers isn't the only life on the line. Volume 1 in a short story series by Luke T. Barnett, author of The Half-Orc Redemption. Cryos and Jade is a quick read that will draw you in and won't let you go. So go pick it up. Cryos and Jade, Luke T. Barnett. I'll put the link in the live chat. It's going to be in the show notes as well. Buy that book. Support Luke. He's a great author.
And Luke says the sequel will be out by the end of the month. I'm assuming he means the end of November.
Awesome. Very cool. And it's got a cool cover too.
Oh, is that the? Yes. Yeah, it is a cool cover. As a matter of fact, I got that on Kindle Unlimited. And so you'll get some page reads from me, Luke.
Nice. Nice. Is on KUK. Yeah, it's 99 cents. 99 cents right now. Go pick it up. It's only 29 pages. Too small for paperback.
Well, man, you'll get 29 page reads from me.
So the moral of the story of tonight's episode is you need to be at 20 Books next year. We're going to do another KSM meetup next year. It was ridiculously fun this year. One of the cool things about the meetup is one of the cool things about 20 Books period is meeting the people that you think you know, but you don't really know, or that you don't know at all that know you. And so the first time Scott and I went, we met Kayleen, which she had watched the show, but we'd never met her. But then we also met Jay Clifton Slater, who's been a viewer of the show. I don't know how long, at least 2 years now, since season 2.
Was that the ice cream?
Yes,
ice cream.
And he's probably eating ice cream right now. Every Monday night, that's his ritual, is he eats ice cream and watches the show. Ridiculously great guy, very cool. But we also met Susan Grant, who is apparently a pilot, and she flew into Hong Kong this week and posted pictures on the Facebook group of flying into Hong Kong wearing her Keystroke Medium hat, which I thought was
neat. I saw
the coolest. Like, we are international. Like, we're international. Like, the UK now is international, but the UK really isn't international, if you know what I mean. Like, it's not international. Like, you flew into Hong Kong, and that's like the international.
That was awesome. I saw that too.
And then all the other people we met, like Leo and Dean Floyd, which isn't his real name, and that was the funny story I was going to tell you. J.R. Hanley, I don't know if he's still on, he might have left already, but J.R. Hanley, the first night I met him in person, we went up into the Atrium Bar, and Chris Kennedy and his wife were sitting at a table with Rick Partlow and several other people, and anyway, JR was sitting there, but I didn't know it was JR, right? Because all I see of JR is his like little comic Bitmoji character, right? And so Chris Kennedy and I are talking about whatever we were talking about, and I said, J.R. Hanley did something, and he like made a motion, and I was like, "Oh, you're JR." Like, he completely like skipped over that it didn't mean him, but that oh yeah, he is still here, and so that was really cool meeting JR in person. And John Evans, John Evans, first of all, is a funny. I almost said MFer, but John Evans is funny. Like, we sat down at several meetings with John, and he is hilarious. So if you ever get a time to sit down and drink a beer with John, that was some fun times sitting down with John. I just read his comment.
James. He said, "Flying 10 hours on a plane from Gatwick felt pretty bloody international, John."
I love that. See what I mean?
Nice.
I just have to say, meeting JR, I was sitting at the conference waiting for one of the panels to start, and I get a Facebook message, "I'm watching you," with little eyeballs from JR, and
Not
I didn't know what he
creepy
looked
at
like,
all.
so I'm just sort of like looking around. I filled in a room filled with authors who's only going to be authors. I'm still like, where the fuck? Like, pulls back and just sort of like waves. Like, hi.
Who else did we meet there? We met Eddie Patton was there. That was fun to meet him. Gosh, I'm trying to Drew Avery came up and took some selfies with us. Tom Edwards was really cool to meet him, and Christian Claes meet him again. Oh, that reminds me. Tom Edwards. Speaking of Tom Edwards, covers for Cure 3 coming up in season 4. We are going to be doing. I think we're going to be doing Children's Hospital. I think Children's Mercy. I'll have to check on that. But we're doing covers for Cure 3. It's probably going to be in March. I actually think I have it on the calendar. So if you're in the need for a cover by Tom Edwards, we're doing pre-mades again. We're also probably going to do some editing packages. Ellen.
Did I do a book? I didn't do a book. Damn, am I doing a book cover for that?
I don't know. You can if you want.
What
Do you
does
want
that do?
to?
Let me think. I thought I had it on the calendar.
I'm bad.
We did talk about it, but now I can't find it on the calendar for some reason. It's coming up in March. I'm not sure where the date went. But so if you're in the need for a science fiction cover or editing package, those will be up for bid. Oh yeah, and we met Charles the KK too. That was
oh my god, that guy's huge.
That guy is
He
enormous.
was awesome.
But he's like a big teddy bear, right? Like he's the nicest guy.
He's so sweet.
Yeah. So anyway, that'll be
He's
coming
like
up
this
in
much
March.
taller than me, and I'm
Start
6
putting
foot.
your pennies away now, so you can bid on some really, really cool items for cover for Cure 3.
How tall are you, Kayleen?
6 foot.
I got you by a couple inches.
Can I tell that?
No way, you are not that tall.
When
I'm
I
6'2".
saw Kayleen,
Yeah,
I saw Kayleen, and
I've been since about the 10th grade.
Sorry, you're saying?
Sorry, Steve. Didn't mean to.
No. I wasn't plugged in all the way. Sorry.
There you go, man. Go ahead.
When I saw Kayleen and then I saw Lauren Moore, I had them complete opposites in my mind.
Really?
I thought Kayleen was going to be shorter and
That is
Lauren was going to be taller. And I looked up at Kayleen. I'm like, hey. And then I bent over and said hello to Lauren. And culture shock, man. That's
amazing. I've been this tall since I was like 11 years old. So
really?
Yeah.
Lauren is like an itty litty, like she's like
miniature.
She's adorable. Lauren's amazing.
She's like one of those cute little garden gnomes that you'd carry around. Sorry, Lauren, I'm just kidding. I'm not comparing you to a garden gnome.
Yes, he is. He totally is.
Kind of like a garden gnome. Well, I think we can go ahead and wrap it here, guys. I think that was a good discussion. We're probably gonna have a roundtable next week. We don't have a guest scheduled. I wanted to leave some weeks open at the end of the year so we could kind of do whatever we wanted and not pressure writers during the holidays to come and hang out with us. So if you guys have a topic that you want us to hit next week, post it in the group. Maybe we'll have somebody make a poll of proposed topics, and we'll go from there and talk about them. Cool thing, Steve launched a book this week, and Web of Eyes is doing really, really well. If you haven't checked that out, check that out. Luke Daniels did the audiobook narration, and of course, Steve and Rhett did the actual writing of the book.
Well, Jamie did. Steve
Yeah, Jamie did.
Jamie Castle was really the brains behind it.
Yeah,
Steve.
Oh wait, can I throw something in real quick?
Yeah.
I dropped my first audiobook this week of all time. And I have I don't know, maybe half a dozen of the free download codes left. So if you guys want to private message me on Facebook or something, I'll give you one.
Hey, check that out. See that? You listen to Keystroke Medium, you get free shit. Speaking of free shit, go to keystrokemedium.com/thanks. That's /thanks. thanks and sign up for the mediums list. And we're going to start giving away stuff probably next month in December for Christmas. Maybe we'll do some super cool bonus giveaways for Christmas, and go from there into season 4. The anthology is coming around nicely. I posted I pictured a preview of one of the interior art packages. Of course, we didn't notice until after that our esteemed typographist, is that a typographist? Is that a good typologist?
Typographer.
Our graphic design guy,
artist.
Our graphical design guy decided to put his own spin on the company branding,
Keystone.
I mean, I'm all okay with company people doing their own thing, but I'm not a micromanager at all. I'm just saying maybe you should spell the name right. So that's some really nice artwork coming from CJ Marsh. I just commissioned 4 more. I'm going to release a couple here, probably a couple every week until the book releases at the first of the year. There's some really cool artwork, and the cover is done. We just have to make some adjustments.
It's already done. It's in your email, my friend.
And we got to add the author names too. So
that's not important. I'm just kidding.
But it is coming. I've got some very good feedback from Lauren so far that all the stories are phenomenal, and they're in editing and doing very well. So to all the authors that are involved in the anthology, thanks for submitting. And here pretty soon we're going to start putting together plans to do probably a near future anthology. We'll see if we'll do near anthology or space opera next. It's like you put it in a hat, you roll the dice, something, we'll figure it out.
The best part of being a publisher or an anthologist is that you could tell people to submit.
Yeah. That's right.
And they listen. It's amazing. They listen.
And they're like, yes, we shall submit. We shall submit. Yes, of course.
What are your submission qualifications? First of all,
what is thy bidding, my master?
Let the hate flow. So yeah, JR is asking near future. Yeah, probably near future. Actually, that was an idea. Yurahanjaya Vijay Ratna suggested to me on.
Can't believe you could say that.
Now, are you talking now? Okay, since you opened this door, I got to ask real quick. When you say near future, you talking like cyberpunk near future, or just like 20, 30 years from now near future?
I'm not gonna, don't quote me, but I do remember hearing something at the conference where Josh was saying 4 anthologies for next year. Something like that.
What?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Look, can I read you the opener? The opener for my near future is I was driving my brand new 2021 Ford Focus. And
yes. Yeah. We are looking at doing 4 in 2019, 1 a quarter. So we will see how well that works out. If there's interest. Steve does a lot of superhero anthologies. Yes, that is right, Drew. He's actually getting ready to publish his 5th superhero volume, and I was in his first. Oh,
it was beautiful. Josh has a great story. Yeah. I got Chuck. Josh has a great story about some kids trapped in a bus. It's super morbid. They all die in the end. No, I'm kidding.
Spoiler.
Are we going to do an Amish cyberpunk anthology? I'm pretty sure that's already been done, actually. I'm pretty sure it's already been done.
I have deja vu.
The implants are wood.
Like 3 weeks ago.
So, yeah, we are going to do probably going to do 4 anthologies in 2019. We're going to probably start off with near future. It's probably going to be very broad right now. I don't know if we're going to do that. And cyberpunk is pretty cool, so that might be something we might look at as maybe a theme. But then we're going to do some space opera. We're going to do some military sci-fi, obviously, because that's what we all love doing. And I don't know, we'll throw in some wild cards there for maybe some urban fantasy, so Chuck can throw his hat in.
I'd love to do it. I'd love to do an urban fantasy.
That's my ballywick.
The great thing about doing anthologies is we're not tied down to a single genre, especially here at Keystroke. So we can do whatever we want, except for Dino Erotica. We're not doing that, JR. So you can go ahead and
Really,
withdraw.
anything with erotica in
You
the
can
title.
withdraw your submission, JR. We're not doing that.
I really need to not say this on air, but I'm gonna, because that's something I do.
You always preface things. I love it.
So when I was
after the fact saying it was a spoiler.
Saturday, I was in the tattoo shop and I met this guy for the first time, and he says, hey, well, somebody introduced me as an author, and they're like, yeah, what do you write? And I'm like, erotica. And and somebody from the other room said, for children.
Nice.
And he's like, he doesn't sell a lot.
He doesn't sell a lot.
Oh my God.
I can't, can we one time end the show on a positive note? Like just one time. That's all I ask.
I sell a lot. I sell a lot. Positive. I sell so many.
Casey Seville asks if we'll do an alternate history. We'll probably do an alternate history.
That would be fun. I think that would be a good one.
Yeah.
Moral of the story, don't be afraid to be honest. We're all your tribe. We're all here for you if you're willing to do the fucking work.
That's the key right there.
We're gonna actually put that on a shirt. Do the fucking work.
That should probably be my 50-year tattoo.
There you go.
You're welcome.
That's a big one. Thank you, Kayleen. Appreciate that, man.
All right, so everybody that came out and hung out in the live chat, thank you guys for hanging out with us on a Monday. Everybody that make sure you go and sign up for that thank you deal. We're going to be doing giveaways every month, and the big ones every quarter. That's the one that you're really going to want, because for those that can't afford editing, Ellen is. If you talk about freelance editing in the indie world, you've got Ellen Campbell and David Gatewood.
Everybody else.
And both of those are at a tier to themselves. And if you can get Ellen to do an edit for you for free, man, you've made it. So come back next week.
One more thing.
Absolutely, you can.
So Paul Summerhays just said weird Western anthology. I have to take this opportunity.
Oh, it's launching in what, 2 days?
Yeah, there you go. You should.
I got like 3.5 hours until Haley Stone's Make Me No Grave launches. It is the best weird Western story I have ever read in my life. I'm publishing it. I'm not just publishing it because it can make money, because they don't make any money.
No, they don't.
Like, I'm really hoping that the beauty of this literary masterpiece like somehow finds the right audience. But Paul, if you like weird Western, dude, Make Me No Grave, and Oliver Wyman did the narration for it.
He is
Holy
one
crap.
of the best. Yes.
I'm so excited about this. I really hope it sells, but even if it doesn't, like, this is a glorious moment for me. I love this book so much. So had to do that.
We've got plug the books all day long. Oliver Wyman, I listened to the sample that he did on Facebook a couple of weeks ago, and it was good. God, it was really good. I actually just pre-ordered it, even though it comes out tomorrow. I pre-ordered it and I got the Audible. Go do it right now.
He did all of Larry Correa's Monster Hunter International books. And I mean, if I could get him for my Paragons trilogy, there are several digits off my body I would sacrifice.
Dude, I had to go to battle with Audible Studios to get him. Like I fought because they wanted he's not available. We'll do this. I pushed back the release date, everything. I'm like, no, I want Wyman.
Yeah, he's great. He is one of the best for sure.
JR just sent me a message and was asking where to go. I put the link in the live chat for the sign up for the giveaway list. So
we can keep track of you.
Yep. And you're only getting an email if you won. We're not going to collect emails and then spam you with sales. But go buy but we're not going to spam you with sales, but go buy Make Me No Grave.
And Cordova Vector on audio.
Yeah. And Cordova Vector and Terranova.
Paul PM me. We'll do a little newsletter swap. If you want to do a newsletter swap for Weird Westerns, we'll make it happen.
Hell yeah.
Well, since y'all are plugging, you should go buy some Crimpy to get some Crimpy action in there.
Crimpy Chronicles, that's right.
Yes. That too. Yes, some of that.
Absolutely. And while you guys are reading that, don't forget, we're going to come back next Monday. We're going to talk about some reading. We're going to talk about some writing, and of course, everything in between, right here on Corinthy, keystroke, keystone, medium.
The Corinthian medium.
You guys have a great Monday. We'll talk to you later. Bye.